like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Sega Saturn review, with today's game being a puzzle game based on the Street Fighter franchise. Of course, I'm talking about Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which originally saw release in December of 1996 in Japan, followed by a February 1997 release in North America, and then finally an April 1997 release over here in the PAL region. Now, it came out on several other systems at the time as well, and it has been ported to many other consoles since then. We've had a HD remaster. It's been in various collections as well, so there are lots of ways that you can get your hands on this game. So once you access the main menu, you'll see you've got arcade mode, street puzzle mode, versus mode, training demo, option, and backup. Heading into options, you can change the difficulty, the damage level, the speed, the number of rounds versus the computer, the number of versus rounds, audio selections, and you can also check the controller configuration. Now, one thing I will say is that the training demo mode is actually quite useful. If you've never played this game before and you've not read an instruction manual for it, it's pretty much essential that you take a look at this first. It's also mildly entertaining as you see Dan go through all of his strange gyrations as he tells you what to do. So I would definitely give this a look before you start playing the game. So like always, I'm going to start with visuals first, and this game is going to appeal to two sets of fans visually. First of all, the puzzle fans from this era, the people who like Baku Baku, Tetris games, Buster Move games. It's got that visual style, and it will appeal to those people instantly. It's bright, it's colourful, everything's clear to see, and it fits in with the genre very well. Now, of course, the other fans that this will appeal to visually are Capcom fighting game fans, because we've got Street Fighter and Darkstalker characters as selectable characters within the game, and you'll see them facing off against each other in the middle of the screen as you play through the game. And as you dump more counter gems on your opponent, your character will execute some of their patented moves and taunt your opponents as well. And this, for me, is the visual highlight of the game, seeing your characters attack one another. Now, it doesn't actually affect the gameplay, it's just a result of you dumping more gems on your opponent, but it's appealing nonetheless. In terms of visual quality, it's not going to blow you away, it's not going to set any new highs on the system, but it's by no means a bad looking game, and it is quite pleasant on the eye overall. So moving on to the sound effects and music next, and this for me is the game's greatest strength, because if you're a fan of Capcom fighting games, then you will be instantly at home when you hear all of the characters pulling off the special moves and the sound effects that go with them. They all sound fantastic, and if that's not enough, we've got some great remix tunes from the Capcom fighting games as well. As soon as you hear some of these tunes playing, you will be instantly taken back to hearing them within the fighting games, and they are very good as well. So of course, I'll do what I always do and give you some examples of the tracks within the game. So moving on to the gameplay next, and this is without a doubt the most complicated part of the game to talk about because it's not as simple as just connecting coloured gems of the same type and they disappear. There's a little bit more to it. That in terms of the actual controls, it's very simple. You move the gems down with the D-pad. A or B will rotate them, and you need to try and connect them to the same coloured gems. Now 2 gems come down every turn. Once you connect them, you then need a crash gem of the same colour to touch them. They'll then be destroyed and it will send over counter gems over to the opponent's side, and these go down in the predetermined pattern of your character. This is probably the hardest part of the gameplay to remember because it is a little bit tactical in all fairness because every character is different, and I'm not going to lie, this was the worst part of the game for me. I simply just couldn't remember for each character the patterns and stuff, so it did make it more difficult. And when you couple it in with the fact that I'm colorblind and spotting the yellow and the green gems apart from one another on this game, it was actually quite a challenge for me to play. Obviously, the more gems you break, the larger the number of counter gems that go over to the opponent's screen. If your screen or if your opponent's screen fills all the way to the top and there's no space left for the gems to fall, you will lose, or on the other hand, you will defeat your opponent. Now, there is a little bit more to it than that because if you can collect the gems into square or rectangular shaped patterns, they will form into a chain gem. If you can destroy these, then it will send even more blocks to the opponent's side of the screen. It's actually quite complicated to explain in all fairness. When you've got blocks incoming, you will get a caution or a warning or a danger message, and this will represent how many counter gems are going to come down onto your side of the screen. It's actually quite a technical playing puzzle game in all fairness, and I could probably talk about it even more, but I would stress, if you've never played it before, watch the tutorial video like I said at the start of the video. It's actually quite a difficult game to play overall. If you're looking for a puzzle game that's really easy to pick up and play, perhaps this isn't going to be it, because if you play it on the easiest settings, you can get through arcade mode really without too much of a challenge, but as soon as you turn that difficulty up or you're playing the actual puzzle mode, it is a real challenge in the gameplay department. Now, moving on to content and lifespan, we've got 8 selectable characters to start with arcade mode, puzzle mode, and versus mode. Once you complete arcade mode as Ryu, you will unlock the arcade master mode, but for me, the main mode of play is indeed the puzzle mode, because this is where you can unlock the additional content. You select a challenge, and it will tell you what content you unlock. Once you've unlocked the content, it will open up a goodies menu in the main menu, which you can take a look at things you've unlocked. Make no mistake about it though, the puzzle mode is very difficult. I found it very, very hard to be successful in this mode of play. In fact, probably from around about the 15 challenges that I took part in for the video footage, I was only successful in winning 2 of them. So that kind of gives you an idea about the challenge that lies await for you when you select this mode. And in terms of the actual challenge of the game, I feel it's quite a difficult game overall. Like I said previously in gameplay, you can play it on the low difficulties, the arcade mode, and you've got 3 difficulties to choose from in that regard as well: beginner, normal, and expert. But once you put the actual difficulty up in the options menu, this game does become really, really hard, and it's a genuine challenge. And if you're a puzzle fan, then it's a challenge that you may well thrive upon, and it really is aimed at puzzle fan games. Yes, you may well like Capcom fighting games, but that isn't really going to keep you coming back to this game, because it is purely a puzzle game, and it's aimed at puzzle gamers who like a real serious challenge. And that's where the lifespan will come into play here, because there is no denying that completing the puzzle mode is going to take a huge amount of grit, a lot of practice, and a fair amount of luck as well. So if you like that kind of challenge, then this game will give it to you. Now that leaves us with our 2 final questions. Is Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo still worth playing today, and can it make our Saturn top 10? The first thing I have to do is point out that these style of games are not my forte. They are not my strength due to the colour problems within my eyes. I simply can't enjoy them as much as other styles of games. Pushing that to the side, if you're a fan of puzzle games who likes a real challenge, I could strongly recommend this game because it will give you that in an abundance. If you want to finish that puzzle mode and get all of the unlockables, it will provide you with a real challenge that is going to take you quite a while to do. Now, in terms of does it have the quality to make our Saturn top 10? Unfortunately not, because it's simply just a puzzle game at the end of the day, and if a game is going to get to my top 10, it's going to have to give me a more complete experience. In terms of comparing it though to the other puzzle games I've looked at so far on the Saturn, I genuinely believe it's better than Bust a Move 2 and Tetris Worlds as well, but it's not as good as Baku Baku in my opinion. That game is a genuinely fun game. But like always, these are just my thoughts and my thoughts alone. I'm always interested in hearing everybody else's opinions on the game, even if it's the PlayStation version, the Game Boy version, or one of the more modern versions that have been released since. Let me know your thoughts down below, and like always, I'll be back in the near future with another video. Goodbye for now.